All right. All right. Welcome to the show, Ellis, right? Awesome.
Yeah, that's my last name. Collun's my first name.
How do you say your first name?
Collun.
Collun. All right.
Just like, hey, who you calling?
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, welcome to the show, man. Episode
Oh,
4, one of those. I'm Gino, so we're going to start it off by tell me a little bit about yourself, man, about your business, what you do, where you're out of, what you specialize in, and what made you want to hop on the show today.
oh shoot, man, that's like 3 hours of video right there. You want me to cover? So real quick, my name is Collun Ellis. I'm in Fairbanks, Alaska. I own Premier Carpet Cleaners, and we just branched into restoration at the first of the year. I started out with doing carpet, tile, and upholstery, September of 2017, and I started it, to be honest with you, because I'm 36 years old and I've been in the sales game for like 15 years.
Yeah.
As essentially got into different sales jobs almost right out of high school. I graduated high school, went served a mission for church for 2 years, and then after that I was like, I suck at school, so I'm gonna do sales. So I jumped in sales, had a couple management positions, but sales is where it was at for me. And then about 2.5 years ago, I was in a position and doing outside sales position for a tire store, and I was doing like big tires, like commercial trucks and like loaders, that kind of stuff. Anyway, I for some reason though, in that particular job, I sucked at it. and I was like, well, shoot, man, I don't want to go back to like a regular 9-to-5 type deal, or go find a job somewhere else just to pay the bills. And so I talked to my wife and talked to a couple buddies, and I was familiar with the carpet cleaning business because my dad owned a business.
Yeah.
And then I've got 2 uncles that are also in the business, one in Utah, one in Colorado. And I said, dude, I'm doing it. I got to do it. So I bought some entry-level professional equipment and started knocking on commercial doors and set up a Facebook page and just made it happen, dude.
It's awesome. You said that was 2 years
So,
ago when everything really started?
Yeah, so I started it part-time.
Okay.
Because that sales job I was at, they actually put me on a 90-day probation.
Gotcha.
And they said, we're going to let you go if things don't change. And I said, well,
yeah.
all right. So in that 90 days, I actually started the business, got my business license, insurance, and actually replaced my income.
Wow.
And so at the end of the 90 days, I said, see you guys.
So what part of Alaska? I missed that at the beginning. What part of Alaska you at?
So I'm in Fairbanks. I'm in Fairbanks, and it's the second biggest populated city in the state.
Gotcha.
But we're only like, there's about 100,000 people in my area that I'm in.
Right.
And then the next biggest city is essentially almost 6 hours south of me.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of like a landlocked island, if you will.
Yeah.
But
so
anyway.
What next flow into things is coronavirus, man. How's that hitting your city? What's that looking like for your business? Is it some people I've talked to have said that business is actually picking up, and it's kind of like, hate to say it, like some people are capitalizing on it while other people are kind of trying to make it through, and some people are are struggling, having to figure out new ways of making stuff happen. What's your story with that?
We've been fairly fortunate that we still have a little bit of restoration work going, so that's considered essential or emergency service.
Right.
And so we only need, like, as a small operation, I only have 1 technician. Yeah. And so it's really, we only need like 1 restoration job is equivalent to almost a full week of carpet cleaning sometimes. And so it's we've been fortunate in that sense. But our carpet cleaning, though, we're down probably 75% of what the normal flow is this time of year.
Yeah.
So we would definitely, I'm not going to say we're hurting at all, but it's interesting in our market, because it's like, I don't want I've been real careful in marketing, saying, oh, we can clean your carpet, and because some people kind of have a bad taste about businesses still operating, and
Yeah.
then other people are happy we're still operating.
Right.
And so I've kind of just been putting out our regular Facebook ads, and I really personally haven't said anything about the coronavirus at all in my marketing. I just said we're open for vacant apartments and closed businesses, so or
Hey,
closed offices. So
that's
and it's
smart.
worked. So
You know, a lot of the reason why we're doing this call and like just this podcast too is I'm like, you know, there might be a business owner that might listen to this and be like, wow, I didn't think about targeting vacant lots or vacant property. You know what I mean? In particular, you know,
yeah,
another thing, I've been talking to different guys, different contractors. They've been able to do stuff with like virtual estimates online, just giving like a brief, like,
sure.
costs this much amount of money, you know, like I know the roofing industry has been doing that, but I mean, even you've been talking
Oh
about
yeah,
stuff with Facebook advertisements. Have
yeah.
you thought about, I mean, would that work for like restoration work or even carpet cleaning to, you know, like book a job before you even have to go give an, like, could you do that? You know what I mean? I'm just kind of, I don't know. I'm learning about your business right now.
Could I book a job before I gave an estimate? Is that what you're saying?
Could you do like a virtual estimate?
You know, there's a lot of questions I can ask. I can ask over the phone. I can ask like, there's a couple guys that I've kind of honed my script from.
Right.
One of them was a guy named Greg Allen with Greg Allen Media. He's super awesome guy.
Yeah.
And there's other guys that I've listened to, and they're in the way that they answer the phone call and ask questions of, like I said, there's Greg Allen, there's Ron Papke, there's there's lots of other guys too in the industry that I've kind of picked up on, and so you kind of ask a couple questions like how big is the how what's the total square footage of the house, kind of gives you an idea of how big the rooms are.
Right.
That was a major question that I ask all the time, because if it's a 1,500 square foot house and we've got 3 bedrooms, about 100 maybe 150 square foot rooms.
Right.
If it's a 6,000 square foot house and we've got 2 bedrooms, those might be 1,500 square foot bedrooms.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. I hear you.
But I always ensure I kind of give like a big range on the phone. It's going to be between 250 and 400 depending on the situation, maybe as high as 450. But I always give a solid price before we start on the spot, so there's no questions asked. And so that caveat right there of like always making sure we give a solid price before we start upon looking at the job, people are like, okay, cool, I can appreciate that.
Right.
And
right.
so
Huh.
that's kind of what's worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That makes sense. It makes sense. I guess the next question, you're already doing stuff like digitally, like where, like what are you finding? Like what's your competition like in your area? Is it pretty high, or things kind of, are other businesses, are there a lot of other businesses that do what you do, or is there kind of less? And how are they being
let me
affected?
let me tell you this: there
Wow.
is nobody that does what I do.
Oh shoot, man. Shoot. Hey, hold up, hold up.
No, but on a serious side though,
Yeah,
I am very fortunate. There are literally probably about 15 companies that offer carpet cleaning,
yeah,
and there's only maybe like, I'm not even exaggerating, 4 or 5 that are like legitimate professional carpet cleaners. They have the right equipment to do good hot water extraction or good encapsulation or anyway different different aspects of cleaning.
right.
Um, my uncle in Colorado Springs, he was saying that he's part of a franchise, and there are like 5 or 6 other franchises that he competes against, let alone 75 to 100 different carpet cleaners.
Yeah,
And so I'm very fortunate. There's not a lot of competition, and in my area,
yeah,
but I still have to make sure that, because it is such a small town, relatively speaking, like, excuse me, that we try to make sure that we give the best. We market. I don't market on price at all. I
yeah,
market on making sure that we give the best experience possible, and that we give the best service out of anybody. Not just carpet cleaners, but
yeah.
we're going to be the most conscious contractor in your home that you've ever had. And so
How,
that,
sorry, keep going. I have another question right after you're done with that.
yeah.
What, how have you been noticing, like, have you, have you had to go through different precautions when you're meeting with clients or people that are cleaning non-vacant houses or whatever? Like, have you been having to do stuff with like the face mask stuff and the gloves and everything too, or has that kind of just been um,
You
not?
know, because you know we haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, we make sure our equipment's clean, that kind of stuff. But the reality of it is this, and I know some guys are going to beat me up on this thought of like,
Hey
how
man,
do you
on your own. This is going to probably be the most controversial. Anyways,
how do you actually sanitize all your equipment?
oh yeah.
Do you submerge all your equipment in a bleach solution like you do dishes? No, you'll ruin your stuff. How do you? So I'm not a scientist.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how the coronavirus or any virus transfers from job to job, but we try to make sure that we clean off our equipment between jobs as much as we can. And I do not advertise sanitizing carpet or anything like that. I mean, we can apply a sanitizer,
Yeah.
but we do not market that we can sanitize your carpet and upholstery like you can like a hard surface. And so
Yeah.
I just completely stayed away from it. And our customers respect that when we show up, we're not doing the hugs and shakes, hugs and shakes. We're not doing the
Good one. How do you get all your
that's my other job, dude. That's a different interview. I'm totally joking. But it's like we are very personal, and so we do shake hands a lot, and we do try to be professional in that sense. So it is kind of weird, like walking up to a house and having to keep your distance, that kind of stuff. And so we just ask that if the property isn't vacant, that we do that either they step out for a walk while we clean the carpet, or stay upstairs while we're doing the downstairs, and just keep that distance. And so people respect it. So
Here's an interesting question for you.
okay.
If you could go back 6 months to a year and you knew that like the coronavirus was going to happen, would you have done anything different to prepare yourself or before kind of this time of what things are going on? I know it's kind of out there, just a thought-provoking question of like, what would, if you could have done something differently or more invested in more in one area particularly or whatever the case may be, what would be the first thing you would have looked at?
So I've thought a lot about that, and one of the very first things that I realized was we've been fortunate. All of our bills are paid, and my technicians paid on payday every single time, and so we've been fortunate in that sense that we haven't had to get any loans out. We haven't had to rely on any outside sources to keep the business afloat. One of those reasons is I have no debt on the business.
Right.
I don't shame or say anything that's say that's a bad thing to get some loans on big stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just personally have not done it.
Yeah.
And so for the way we run the business, that's the best way that I found to work for us.
Yeah.
So to answer your question though, is both on the business side and my personal finance side, I'm a big spender. Yeah. So this business has kind of ruined me in the sense that like I came from making $4,000 a month in my previous job to sometimes, and not uncommon, a couple times a month making $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
And now that's gross. That's before taxes and all that stuff. But so the business has kind of ruined me in some sense. I've talked to a lot of guys about that because it's like, because your bank account can be zero on the 29th of the month, and you're like, okay, well, I got 2 or 3 more jobs coming in, and that'll pay the mortgage and pay everything for the month. And so but one thing, so I've been a big spender. It's like I went and bought some 4-wheelers and snow machines this year.
There you go.
And so we've had a ton of fun. My wife enjoys it. My kids enjoy it. But moving forward, both on the business side and in our personal finances is, dude, I'm ramping up my freaking savings, dude.
Yeah.
Like we've made it through fortunately, but the bank account has gotten a little slim a couple times. So one thing that I want to set aside is literally like have like 6 months of savings set aside. So if this happens again, like we'll be even in a better situation, and even in a better situation to capitalize on possible companies that are going out of business. We scoop up all their equipment,
Right.
and so anyway, cash, man, cash, piles and piles of
Yeah.
cash, man. That's
Oh,
gonna
sing that
be
song. Cash rules everything around. Anyways, I'm not a singer or a rapper, so I'm not good
yeah.
at that. But cool, man. So
Because I
what,
got my mind on my money and my money on my mind. You know what I mean?
there you go. Well, this has been a good conversation so far. What are your what's so coronavirus? Things are I don't know how long it's going to last for. You know, like what are you
Yeah.
doing right now to continue to capitalize on your market? You know, already talked about some of this, but like what are some, you know, do you have 6-month goals, year goals, or even like a 5-year goal of like, even just, it could be off the cusp, man. And just like
Sure.
curious to hear like what you're looking to do with your business over these next couple, you know, through those next couple steps that you could take, you know, what would
Yeah.
that look like? What would some business goals in that sense look like for
So I'm fairly goal oriented. I so I try to say, okay, well, this like coming from the sales world, like
you?
I sold cars for a while,
Yeah.
and a lot of guys don't like car salesmen, but I learned one of the things I learned from doing that is literally tracking everything. Like how many phone calls did I make today? How many people did I talk to? How many texts did I send out? How many emails did I respond to? And so my philosophy is activity generates in following up with customers and doing those things. The income is a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
It's not, hey, I'm gonna go make $1,000 this week. It's, hey, I'm gonna make 10 phone calls today to past customers. I'm gonna make 5 phone calls to realtors. I'm gonna make 3 phone calls to property managers. And so those numbers generate income a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 6 months from now, that kind of thing. And so
Right.
as long as you're always doing the activities, you're
Yeah.
always feeding that sales funnel, if you will, the income always follows. And
Yeah.
so I always try to, so this is really kind of, my mind is like weird right now because it's hard to set those goals because you don't know how people are going to respond to like, hey, let me stop by and like, there's one office, one realty office. I'm the Oreo guy. And so every couple weeks, once a month or once every 2 months or so, I drop off a couple packets of Oreos and a gallon of whole milk. And
Yeah.
they know that when the Oreos came by, that means Collun stopped by. And so it started out as a joke, but you stay consistent with it and be creative. Like it literally cost me like $15 for some Oreos, whole milk, and I even provide like a little stack of cups for them.
Right.
So anyway, the to go back to your question though is the we got big goals of buying a property for the business and that kind of stuff in the next 3 to 5 years, but short-term goals are hard right now because it's so uncertain.
Mm.
All I'm trying to do is just make sure that I keep doing my activities. That
Yeah.
activity generates income. And so like I said, it's so easy in this business to say, well, there's nothing on the schedule, I'm just going to kick back and watch a movie with the wife today.
Right.
Whereas if I spend just an hour making a few phone calls, send a few emails out, like one of those calls sometimes means, hey, I didn't realize you're doing restoration work now.
Yeah.
Can you come take a look at a job? And it turned out to be an $8,000 job. And so it's like, so how many phone calls do you need to make a month to generate a couple $100 jobs or several $1,000 jobs? So anyway, activity generates income.
Yeah.
That's kind of been my practice for the last couple of weeks, and for the foreseeable future. That's what it's going to be.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I be curious to talk to you more about some stuff after the show or after
Yeah.
we're in this, but that's a different topic. Well, closing. What I like this one. Number 6.
Yes.
Advice, thoughts, rude remarks, whatever you want to throw out there for someone who may be listening in the future.
Oh
I'm
man.
gonna get some good ones on that rude remarks part of the future.
I am, I'm super careful. I don't want to be like that guy that thinks I'm the guru. Like, I'm not. I don't have a $500,000 a year business,
Yeah.
but one thing that I can say is just make sure you stay consistent,
Mm.
because one of the things that really, like, and I use this as an example. One of the books I was reading was talking about customer experience.
Mhm.
Like, for instance, if you go get a haircut, you go get a haircut. Let's say it's a $25 haircut, not a super cheap one, not a super expensive one, but you go there, you give you a nice haircut, a good shampoo, and style your hair when you leave. Okay. Now my hair is buzzed right now, but because
There you
this
go.
whole quarantine thing. But I'm usually like a every 2-week haircut kind of guy. And the reason I go to the specific barber or the specific stylist I go to is because she charges me $25 for a haircut, but she always shampoos my hair. She always makes sure that everything's lined up around the ears, around the back of the neck, and it styles my hair when I'm done. It's consistent every single time. And so that's one of the things that I've tried to do is make sure that the experience is the same. Like, and it's a great experience, not a bad experience. That's a great experience every single time I service a customer,
Right.
whether it's a close friend or family, or whether it's a referral from somebody else, or just a one-off customer. So anyway, be consistent in everything that you do, because consistency is what builds the integrity of your business.
It's awesome. To add on top of that, I heard like attention to detail. Man,
Oh
that's
yeah.
huge. I love that. That's I don't know. I take pride in your work. I love it. You know.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yep.
Well, Collun, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh yeah, man.
Wrap this up here. Feel free to stick around. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna end this recording. And thanks everybody for listening. Super informal, but glad everyone's here. So.